F on last week's assignment, so I thought I would do it. It's y equals tan to the negative 1, x minus 1 over x plus 1, just off to the side over here in blue. I know at some point I'm going to have to derive the angle, and it's going to involve the quotient rule, so I just did it over here. So it's the derivative of the top, which is 1, times the bottom, which is x plus 1, minus the derivative of the bottom, which is 1, times the top, which is x minus 1, all over x plus 1 squared. And if you expand through the brackets, the x and the minus x make no x's, and the 1 minus minus makes a 2. So I know a few of you are missing a 2 in the answer, and I think I told you that, so that's kind of where it comes from. Okay, so as far as the derivative goes, some of you wrote it as 1 over tan and then derived it. I'm just going to derive it like this. So I'm going to use the power rule and bring the negative 1 down. So dy dx equals negative 1, and then it's going to be all that stuff to the negative 2. So that means all that's going to go on the bottom as a tan squared. Some of you were also missing a tan squared. So that's just using the power rule. So you bring the exponent down, and then you make the exponent negative 2, which means that stuff gets written on the bottom. But then you have to derive tan of all that stuff. So the derivative of tan is secant squared of all that stuff. But then you have to derive all that stuff, so which I did over here. So then I have to derive the angle, or the argument. And I didn't really care how much you fixed it up, though, a little bit. You should definitely do something to it. So the negative times the 2 is going to be a negative 2. And you've got a secant squared of that stuff over, in the denominator I have an x plus 1 squared. And then I've got this tan squared. You could fix it up a little bit if you want. So you know that secant squared is the same as a cos squared on the bottom, and tan squared on the bottom would be like a cos squared over a sine squared. So really the cos squareds would cancel. So you could turn that into negative 2, that's not going to go anywhere, and the x plus 1 squared is not going to go anywhere. But you are going to be left with a sine squared on the bottom, because the cos squared, when the secant squared goes, and when you flip the tan squared, the two cos squareds are going to cancel. So you are still going to have a sine squared.